Hey there, you're listening to the Girls Talking Life podcast, and I'm your host, Johanna. If you're like me, you love time with friends. I always leave feeling encouraged, inspired to try something different, or I've learned something new. So why not continue to grow even when we can't be with our girlfriends? We're not made to do life on our own, so in each episode of this show, I'll bring you a girl and her story to give you refreshing ideas to stir your soul. Let's walk this road together. Are you ready to talk life? My friend Kendra is on the show today sharing her story of loss and brokenness and a transformation that only God is capable of. She was married to her husband Jim on November 22nd, 2011, and just 5 short weeks later, they were anticipating spending their Christmas together as a married couple, and they were hit by a drunk driver. Jim was killed instantly, and Kendra was badly injured. She had to face months of rehabilitation while grieving the loss of her husband. Not only was her body broken, but her plans for the future were shattered too. Kendra tells us how she relied on God and the godlike people in her life to move forward. Kendra's story is really one of my worst fears. Losing your husband, maybe it's yours too. And I feel like I don't know how I could go on. And I am so encouraged by her story to know that I could do it, and so could you. It would be painful and extremely hard, but not impossible. Kendra teaches us how to grow through grief and not to give life's obstacles undue power. Hi there, Kendra. Thank you for being on Girls Talking Life today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You and I went to middle school and high school together, and I would say that we knew each other. We were friends. I always thought you were a super nice girl, but we were never really in the same friend circle. You were kind of athletic, and I was not. Is that how you remember things?
Yeah, absolutely. We had friends in common, and I just always thought you were the nicest, sweetest girl. And like you say, just kind of hung in different spots, but such great memories of Minerva High School, and just thankful for that time.
Absolutely. So we haven't been in connection since then, but we just reconnected recently when I saw that you were getting ready to write a book and you were going to tell your story. So that's why I invited you here today, just to kind of fill us in on what's been going on since then. So do you want to start and just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am a middle school teacher at Canton South, Canton Local School District, where I am feeling old right now because I'm in my 18th year teaching. Yeah, those high school reunions go by fast.
They sure do.
I have taught and coached in the district and just love the people, love the kids. I live in East Canton in a beautiful home that I just love and feel safe and secure in. And my family's all nearby. So my sister lives in East Canton with her husband, and my family, my mom and dad, are still in Minerva.
So you have quite a story, and it starts, I would say, when you and Jim, your husband, met. Can you just start there and tell us a little bit about meeting him and what happened from there?
Absolutely. Yeah, Jim was one of my favorite people to talk about, so you might have to cut me off. Jim and I met later in life. He's a Minerva graduate as well. He was years older than we were, and so I went one day with my mom and dad. They went and got their hair cut, and we went out for the day to eat lunch and stuff. And talking to the hairdresser, my dad just in jest asked if she knew of any good guys, because I had recently got out of a relationship and just was looking for a great guy, wanting companionship and just to share my life with somebody. And she said, Jimmy's coming in later today. He's a great guy. He's a little bit older than you, but he's a great guy. And he is also looking for companionship and just, great guy. We got to hook you guys up, at least get you talking. And so she took my number, and I still remember our first text. He said, "Hi, I'm Jim." And I said, "Hi, I'm Kendra." And so he asked if it was okay to call. And we talked. 9 months later, we were engaged. 7 months after that, we were married.
Wow. So you knew pretty soon there in your relationship that he was the guy.
Yes. We had normal, relationship flaws and disagreements, but we knew very early on it was a mature love that was going to be forever, and we were going to get married.
So you were married on November 12th of 2011, and 5 weeks later, which is so soon after you were married, tell us about what happened.
It was a week before Christmas in 2011. We were on our way home from visiting my parents in Minerva, and we were hit by a drunk driver going 72 miles an hour passing over a hill. And my husband went to heaven instantly. And what followed for me was some immediate life-saving surgeries. I spent 2.5 weeks in the hospital with just an extremely long list of injuries, from a gash in my diaphragm, an 8-inch gash in my diaphragm, broken left side, collapsed lung. I had tubes down my throat and in my sides, and I spent 2.5 weeks in the hospital and was moved to Woodlawn Rehab, where I spent about 5.5 weeks. It took me until February to take my first steps, and it wasn't until about April that I regained limited use of my left hand and left arm. It is a true testimony of God's great healing. My doctors, my entourage of doctors, said the only thing not bumped, bruised, broken, moved, or shattered was my head, my brain. And so it has been a true journey, both physically, mentally, emotionally. I like to think of myself as the Terminator. I have 2 titanium rods in my left leg and 1 titanium rod in my left arm.
Wow, that's a long list.
It took me a long time to actually find out what all was injured in it, and it was very, very overwhelming to me. I am just so thankful to God for his healing and for the doctors and medical people involved, and just the family and friends that visited and supported and encouraged and celebrated each small step with me.
You woke up in the hospital and you found out that your world had been completely rocked. Did you learn right away that your husband had passed?
I was put into a medically induced coma. So I awoke a couple days later, foggy, disoriented, unable to speak, and my body was immobile. The only thing that was able to move was my right hand, which they had handcuffed to the bed because people's instinct is to go for the tubes and just that reaction of trying to figure out what's wrong. And so the only way I could communicate with people was I would spell out words with my index finger on their hand, or later I could write. I couldn't see very well, so writing wasn't an option right away, but once I kind of became a little bit more oriented, I just kept writing JIM on people's hands. And so eventually my dad came very, very close to my face, and I could tell that his cheeks were sunken in, his eyes were sad and swollen, with big dark circles. And I just remember him saying, "Jim went to be with God." And so he said a little bit about the accident, gave me a little bit of orientation on where I was, and that's about all I remember of that moment.
So you find out this terrible news and you have all this rehabilitation to do for yourself. Where did you find the strength or just the energy, the will to move forward with what you had to do for yourself?
Well, the body is an amazing thing. It really is adaptable. And so I think it was just a small series of infantile celebration almost, hopping a couple steps to the bathroom on my right leg, or, able to help get myself dressed a little bit. Just really that coach, that athlete competition type mentality of, today I'm going to hop a couple more steps, or, just celebrating things like the nurse giving me a shower. And I just remembered the feeling of the warm water just cleaning and rushing over. And I was blessed with amazing people. It was December and into January. I didn't leave Woodlawn Rehabilitation Center until January. So it was snowy, Ohio winters with bad roads, and, people braved it and came and visit and sat by my bedside and just watched me eat hospital food. And I just remember it was a joke at Woodlawn of, the roads are horrible. Schools have been called off. I wonder what time your parents will be here. I wonder what time family and friends will be here. So it really, the pain was unbearable. Physically, I just was blessed with good people that I trusted and found out how to encourage and support me. And, they didn't sympathize with me. They had a lot of empathy and just wanted me to be the best I could. And I kept, doctors didn't know if I would walk again, but my doctors told me, you'll get as far as you work to be. And so I took that kind of as a challenge. And there were days I gave up. There were days that, physical therapists came into my room and I said, not today. And I rolled over and cried. And when I wasn't looking to God, I was looking to people who were God-like to me. And so I'm thankful for that.
At one point during the rehabilitation, you say in your book that you told your mom that you were done and you would just stay in a wheelchair. What did she say to you?
Yeah, that was a day that I will always remember. I was done. It hurt too bad. I just couldn't see anything being better in the future. And the present was way too hard. And so my mom's about 5'1", and as she's standing along my bed, I said, I'm done. I've got one arm. I can make it work. I'll live in a wheelchair. People live very successful lives in wheelchairs. I'm done. I can't do it anymore. Please don't make me do it. And she said, no, you are not done. I will not let you quit. God is not done. And it's slow and steady is going to win this race. And so I cried and threw a little fit, as much as a person with one leg and one arm can do. And by golly, I woke up the next day and gave it all I had.
How long did your recovery take total?
I was still using a cane to walk in April, and it wasn't until about June that I had full use of my left hand.
Okay, June of 2012.
Yes.
Okay. Your family seems so pivotal, so crucial to you in this time. I know that you lived with your parents for a while.
Yes.
How important was their support and their love and encouragement to you just during that period?
I would not be where I am without my family. And there's nothing I could do that would ever repay them. But we have always been that way. We have suffered things before, and we have always done it as a family. And it's a true pack mentality of, when one person hurts, we all hurt, and we surround it. And just the closeness we have is something that it's just, yeah, like you say, it's just pivotal. People sometimes come and go through life, and my family we've just always been there for each other.
Kendra, how do you deal with the grief of losing someone that you love so much?
Well, you do it. It is godly to grieve. I believe in growing through instead of going through. God's favor has brought me through. He is very near to the brokenhearted. And yes, he allows things to happen, but he is going to work for the good of those who love and serve him. And to be gratefully present in the moment, I cannot stress that enough, to maintain healthiness, to get counseling, to take care of your body, to take care of how you talk to yourself. Those are all super important. To surround yourself with the best circle of people you can. But I think one of the most important things is to not isolate yourself and to not try to numb it or not go through it.
You say in your chapter on grief, you say, our world praises repression and calls it strength. I've been told multiple times you are so strong because people see me pulled together. They don't see me unraveled, crying on the floor, vulnerable, praying for God to help me through the next minute on this earth. And that really struck me because you're right. People see you on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And the strength is really in the moments where you're at your weakest.
Very true. That quiet strength to withstand the storm is one of the most beautiful things about life. And just what you cling to, the firm foundation that you stand on is so important. It's not about who's up front, who's the star of the day. And that's just one thing I love about people. As I've traveled this journey, I've acquainted myself with some of the best grieving greats that I've ever met. And they are the best people that I know, because you can't know healing unless you know pain. You can't know strength until you know the greatest weakness. And it's been a journey.
Let's talk for a second about forgiveness. You had the opportunity to face the man that was driving drunk and hit you. What was that like?
Well, the time that I saw him was in March of 2012. And so I remember I still did not have any use of my left hand or arm. And I remember I used a walker to go through court. And I remember being very nervous. I remember feeling almost like I was on parade, because there were people there and they knew why I was there. And the courtroom had his family and my family. And I remember just thinking, you know what, this is going to end it. I'm going to be able to forgive him. This is going to be a big step in moving forward. And he came out to enter the courtroom and he had a broken ankle. And I just remember the anger that swept over me of, oh my gosh, this young man hit us, has caused all of this devastation, has changed my life forever. And he's walking in here with a broken ankle. And the forgiveness that I thought I would feel was no longer there. It was replaced by anger. And he was very sincere in his apology. His life has changed forever as well. I remember listening to him, but I remember being like, it's time to go. And so no forgiveness was given that day.
And I think that's, in our human state, isn't that how most of us would feel?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we as a family handled it the best that we could in that moment. Forgiveness is a series of choices, and I have since forgiven him, and hope that he is rehabilitated and learning and going to get out and lead a different life. And I wish him well.
You say, my feelings and attitude about that accident began to change as I continued counseling and received the correct medication for PTSD. I invited God in to transform me. It was uncomfortable but refreshing to view the driver in a new way. He was a 23-year-old who made a horrible choice to drive drunk. His decision led to a devastating, life-changing event. There is no amount of harm that I could cause him that would bring Jim back. I couldn't make a different choice for him. I could, however, make a different choice for me. And that's what you did.
Yes, there's only so much weight that we can carry as we walk around. And that was when I was able to forgive him and to continue making the choice to forgive him, I realized that I could do so much more without carrying that weight and wasting that energy.
That's so true. Not forgiving is hurting you.
Mm-hmm.
It's creating just a weight and a burden on you that isn't necessary.
And we are called to forgive.
When did you know that you wanted to write your story, to share your story with other people?
Well, I felt the calling for probably a year before I actually started writing. I fought it. I'm stubborn. It just seemed too big for me, and I just didn't feel worthy of it. I'm a very avid reader. I love books. And so I kind of compared myself to some other authors that I read. And I thought, you've got to be kidding, Kendra, that there's no way at the time I taught fourth grade and I felt like a fourth grade writer. And so I had some encouragement from a couple friends, from family, from my pastor, who is just a wonderful speaker, and she is an author herself. And so I fought it for a while and did a couple speaking engagements. And it's really a God awesome story. I had sticky notes on my kitchen table from just jotting down some notes to do a couple speaking events. And I came home from a school day in May, and it was very hot in our building. And I kind of slammed down my backpack and blew the sticky notes, of course, off the table. So then you're a little upset with yourself of, oh man, who's going to pick all these up now? And so as I picked them up and put them into similar topic, I knew right then that those topics, forgiveness, people moving forward, growing through grief, I could see those topics forming there in those sticky notes on my kitchen table. And I knew that I had chapters and that I was to write a book. And so I made a phone call to my pastor and said, I feel God is telling me to do this. Will you help me? And so we met and went from there. And not only is she a friend and a wonderful pastor and a godly wife and mother, she's a great writer, and couldn't have done it without her.
In the introduction of the book, you say, I am encouraged to no longer give life's obstacles undue power, and I want to encourage you in the same way.
That's a line that I keep rereading myself, because sometimes we give the smallest things the biggest power, and it's a loss of perspective. And when we give obstacles too much power, we're trying to control life, and we need to stop and pray and give God control and pray that he enters our lives and our eyes to see things a little differently.
Absolutely. So how would you describe that your struggle has been turned into a gift?
Well, the thing I love the most is that God has taken me out of he's made me uncomfortably comfortable. He's allowed me, through sharing my story, to meet people and to witness and to truly glorify his name. And I'm a completely different person, Johanna. I don't even know how to say it other than I look in the mirror and I feel completely different than I did 7, 8, 9 years ago. And he's turned my pain into passion and purpose. He's all of my insecurity. He's rebuilt, within my security in him. And I think to know that God loves me so much that he can reach me no matter how rock bottom I am. There's a hope and a victorious label, and it's a whole new world. And, to truly realize that I had to let go of the life I thought I could have had to fully embrace the one I have now and can have in the future is just an awesome, contagious, energizing feeling. And I know my relationship with God is stronger. I know I love deeper and more unconditional. I know that there are things I still pray that God comes into my heart and shows me an area of weakness or an area that I need to work on. And I still have those. And I think God has somebody else for me. I want to get married again. I am working hard in my singleness to prepare myself to be a great wife and mother. And there's just this hope, this indescribable, deep flame burning hope that I have. And that's all Jesus.
You have truly been transformed. What does your
Yes.
life look like now? I know that you're teaching. I know you have a desire to get married again. Are you dating?
I, yeah, yes,
Am I putting you on the
am.
spot?
That's okay. I like it. I have been on dates. To say that I'm dating someone exclusively, that I'm not. Still looking. Still very, very hopeful. I enjoy my teaching job. I love speaking. I am a very avid journaler, and I don't know what will come of that. I don't know. I get asked often if I'm going to write a book too, and that just makes me smile. And my humility just comes out to say, oh my gosh, like I just did this first one. Let's just, see where God takes this. And I'm just thankful to hear people talking of what God's doing in their lives and how he's using the book for them. And it's truly the best thing I've ever done is writing the book and just trying to live out the lessons that God is teaching me, and just, life is good. I know as I enter into the holidays, there's going to be some sad times, some rough times, but I know God's there and I've got good people around me, and I'm healthier each year. I celebrate health, being healthier physically, mentally, emotionally. And so, I don't know if I answered your question,
You
but
did. You did. Where can people find your book?
well, they can find it on Amazon for the Kindle or paperback. They can contact me and I can autograph it, dedicate it, and ship it out to you. I know that I'm working. My goal is at the first of the year to get a website out where people can contact me directly through there and order and do. And I'm going to keep people aware of upcoming speaking events and love to meet and greet and hear people share their stories of, and just glorify God.
If someone wanted to arrange for you to come speak at their event, how would they get in touch with you?
Well, I have Facebook accounts, both personal and for the book, and also Instagram accounts, both personal and for the book, where they can contact me and just get that going.
Okay, that sounds great. Kendra, I am going to shift gears just a little bit to something a little more lighthearted, and I want to hear about your favorite 5. What are your favorite things right now that you're reading, watching, eating, using?
Well, I love, one of my favorite things is just a good devotional, good time with Jesus. And right now I'm reading Embraced by Lisa Turkhurst, who is just a wonderful woman of God. I highly recommend it.
I have not heard of that study yet.
Yeah, she's great. She's got a new book out too that I've got to get my hands on.
I enjoyed the first 5 studies. I know that she's a part of that.
Yes. I love a good cup of coffee, or maybe 2 or 3 cups of coffee.
Is there a certain style, a certain brand? How are you getting your coffee?
I just like coffee. I'm a K-cup person,
Okay.
and I just love to enjoy rich black coffee. The warmth, the taste, I just love it. I actually have a Keurig in my classroom at school, and so if I brew a cup during school, I'm like, that's a cup of happiness right there.
Oh, yes. I also enjoy black coffee.
Yes.
I have a cup here right beside me.
I already drank my cup because I was like, I don't want to be slurping and sipping, as I'm talking. So I love New Balance tennis shoes. I'm hoping for a New Balance shoe deal, but I don't think that's going to happen.
All right, God can do great things, Kendra.
Hey, I'm a tennis shoe and jeans kind of gal, so got to be comfy.
All right, how about your fourth favorite?
My favorite place to travel is the beach. I love the ocean. I love the salty air. I love sunburn. I love everything about it.
Is there a beach that you go to regularly?
As a family, we do the Carolinas quite a bit,
Yeah.
North Myrtle. But if you want to take me to a beach, chances are I'll go.
We leave tomorrow for the beach. We are actually doing Thanksgiving at the beach this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I bet it's beautiful this time of year.
We spent a lot of time in Hilton Head, and looking at the weather, I'm seeing mid-60s, so it's better than what Ohio has to offer right now.
Absolutely. That's so awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. How about your last favorite?
I'm going to say family and friends. I love people and just thankful for the unconditional love and fun things that time together, this time of year can bring.
I'm with you. I love my family and I love spending time with friends. And that's kind of how I even got on to doing this, is just the perspective that you gain and the knowledge and being able to see and learn from other people and their experiences. That's kind of what I wanted to do here. So I get that.
Awesome. I think you're doing a good thing. And I think building women up, to each other and learning from each other and being able to share and grow is just awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Kendra, you have been through so much, but you have such a powerful testimony because of it, and you choose to glorify God with it. So I just want to thank you so much for that, for your bravery and your transparency, and being willing to share your story.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me this morning.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Kendra. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. If you would like to hear more of Kendra's story, you can find her book, Tragically Transformed: How God Turned Struggle to Gift, on Amazon. You can also follow her and connect with her on Facebook or Instagram, and that's where you could also invite her to speak at your event. You can find all of those details and links over on girlstalkinglife.com in the show notes for this episode. Do you have feedback, suggestions, or guest ideas for the show? I would love to hear them. Get in touch with me on Instagram at Girls Talking Life or the Girls Talking Life Facebook page, or email me, hello@girlstalkinglife. I would love to hear what you have to say. My guest next week is Lori Mercer. Lori is a mom of 4. She runs an online business where she is a freelancer, and she also trains up women to be VAs and virtual professionals. She founded a nonprofit for firefighter wives and their families. But before she started all of this, she had a high-profile corporate job. She tells us how and why she left her job and how she came to own her own business. Lori and I also talk about her personal life and how challenging the last 24 months have been for her, including walking through a divorce and her daughter's battle with anorexia. Lori is so full of knowledge, and she transparently shares about all these things. So be sure to tune in next week. And friends, thanks for tuning in today.